Most people believe that if you want to burn fat, especially belly fat, you have to suffer for it. The harder you push, the more you burn, the more you sweat, the more you lose. That logic feels right. It feels earned, but it is almost completely wrong. And the moment I stopped running, the moment I traded my sprints for slow, quiet walks, was the moment my body finally started changing. This is the story of why. You know the feeling. You've committed. You're actually doing it this time. The alarm goes off at 5:47 a.m. and for once you don't hit snooze. You put on the shoes, you get outside, you run. And running feels like doing something. The heart pounds, the lungs burn, the sweat soaks through the shirt. This is what transformation is supposed to feel like. Pain.effort. You come home, take a shower, you track your calories, you eat clean, you sleep. You do this for weeks, and then you check. You pull up the waistband. You step on the scale, the number barely moved. And the worst part? It's not the number that breaks you. It's the logic, because you did everything right. You followed the formula. Work harder, lose more. Everyone says it. Every fitness influencer, every gym poster, every morning show segment about getting your summer body. You did the work. You earned the result. So where is it? Here's what nobody tells you. The belly fat you're trying to lose doesn't respond the way you think it does. It has its own rules, its own biology, and running the way most of us do it is almost perfectly designed to protect that fat. But to understand why this happens, we have to look deeper. To understand why we got this wrong, we have to go back to the 1970s. America was in the middle of a cardiovascular crisis. Heart disease was climbing. Doctors were looking for something, anything, to tell patients to do. In 1977, Jim Fixes published the complete book of running. It sold over 1 million copies. Overnight, jogging became the symbol of health itself. If you ran, you were healthy. If you didn't, you weren't trying. The fitness industry built itself around this idea. Calories in, calories out. High heart rate equals high burn. Sweat equals progress. Then came the gyms, the treadmills, the ellipticals, the fat burning zone. Charts printed on every piece of equipment. That little graph showing you should push yourself to 70, 80, even 90% of your max heart rate. The harder, the better. This wasn't malicious. It was just wrong. Because here's what researchers were quietly discovering in laboratories. While the fitness industry was selling you spin classes, when you exercise at high intensity, when you really push, your body doesn't reach for fat as its primary fuel. It reaches for glucose, fast sugar, quick energy. Fat is slow. Fat is efficient. Fat is your body's emergency reserve, and your body is very, very reluctant to touch it when there are easier options available. Worse, high-intensity exercise triggers cortisol, the stress hormone. And cortisol? Cortisol loves belly fat. It signals your body to store more of it, to protect it, as a survival mechanism against the threat your body thinks you're under. So every brutal run you did, every spinning class, every HIIT session where you gasped for air may have been actively working against the exact goal you were running towards. So what's actually happening inside your body when you exercise? Think of your body like a hybrid car. A hybrid car has two fuel systems, a gasoline engine for speed and an electric battery for efficiency. When you floor it on the highway, it burns gas fast. When you cruise slowly through a neighborhood, it switches to the battery. Quiet, efficient, sustainable. Your body works the same way at high intensity. Running fast, pushing hard. Your body runs on glycogen. That's the gasoline. Fast, explosive, burns out quickly. At low intensity, a calm walk, a gentle stroll. Your body switches to the battery. It runs on fat. This is what scientists call the fat oxidation zone, or more commonly, the aerobic fat burning threshold. It's the sweet spot where your heart rate is elevated enough to trigger fat metabolism, but low enough that your body doesn't panic and switch to emergency glucose burning. For most adults, that zone sits around 60 to 65% of your maximum heart rate. For a 35-year-old, that's roughly 110 to 120 beats per minute. That's a brisk walk, not a jog. not a sprint, a walk. And here's the second mechanism that makes this even more interesting: duration. Fat oxidation isn't a faucet you switch on. It builds over time within a session. Research shows that fat burning increases significantly after the 30-minute mark of low-intensity exercise. Your morning 20-minute run, you may have stopped right before your body switched fuel sources. Your 45-minute walk, you spent the last 15 minutes in the exact metabolic state you've been chasing. The enemy wasn't your laziness, it was your intensity. Consider the story of Dr. James Levine, an endocrinologist at the Mayo Clinic. In the early 2000s, Levine became obsessed with a question: why do two people eat the same diet, do the same workouts, and get completely different results? He wired his subjects with sensors, and he tracked every calorie burned, every movement made over week. What he found shocked the research community. The difference between people who lost fat and people who didn't wasn't their gym sessions. Their formal exercise was nearly identical. The difference was what they did the rest of the day. The leaner subjects moved constantly. Small movements, slow walks, standing, pacing, taking stairs. The heavier subjects sat efficiently, quietly, almost completely still outside their workouts. Levine coined a term for this: NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. NEAT is the energy you burn doing everything that isn't formal exercise. Walking to your car, cooking dinner, fidgeting, strolling. And for most people, any accounts for more daily calorie burn than any workout they'll ever do. The subjects doing intense 45-minute runs were burning 400 calories and then sitting still for 15 hours, burning almost nothing. The walkers, they were burning steadily all day in the fat oxidation zone, without cortisol spikes, without triggering hunger hormones, without the compensatory exhaustion that makes you collapse on the couch afterward. The walks were adding up. The runs were canceling out. So what do you actually do with this? First, don't abandon movement. The goal isn't to stop challenging your body. It's to stop confusing suffering with progress. The first shift is to make walking non-negotiable, not a workout, not a session, a daily practice. Aim for 45 to 60 minutes at a pace where you can hold a conversation, but feel your heart working. That's your zone. That's where the fat burns. The second shift is to stop rewarding exercise with stillness. The run that wipes you out and pins you to the couch for 3 hours isn't better than the walk that leaves you energized. Sustainable, consistent, low cortisol movement compounds over weeks and months in ways that intense and exhausted never will. The third shift is perhaps the most important one and the most counterintuitive. Trust the slow. We live in a culture that has confused speed with virtue, that believes if something doesn't hurt, it doesn't count, that rest is laziness and suffering is discipline. But your body didn't evolve to sprint. It evolved to walk for miles every single day across plains and forests and deserts, hunting, foraging, exploring. Walking is not the absence of exercise. Walking is what you were built for. So, back to that moment. 5:47 a.m. The shoes laced, the street quiet. 3 weeks of effort and a mirror that hasn't changed. What if you put down the pace tracker that morning? What if instead of running, you just walked? Slow, present. No burning lungs, no cortisol flood, no exhausted collapse at the finish. Just you and the street and 45 quiet minutes of your body doing exactly what it was designed to do. The belly fat you've been fighting, it doesn't yield to force. It yields to consistency. And the most consistent thing in the world is something you can do every single day without dread. The slowest path forward is sometimes the only one that actually arrives.